Thank you very much. I want to join with Mike and my colleagues in thanking you for taking time out to kind of come over here to Washington and show your support for the Peace Corps and its program. Anyway, thank you for success today and your day on the Hill. You'll see a lot of interesting features.
And then I was going to also grab the ones that are in California, because I'm from California originally. And at least just do the drop by so it's a little bit more of a story.
The oldest volunteer was Lillian Carter, Jimmy Carter's mom. When she was 77, joined the Peace Corps and went to India.
You know, Carrie seems to be really all about reaching out to the RPCVs, getting them involved, which I think is huge because our network is huge. There's been, you know, so many past volunteers, and we have a wealth of experience that we can really add to Peace Corps and help make that transition for new volunteers easier. I think if I had been connected to more volunteers before I served, it would help me. And now that I have all these skills and experience, I can help transition people who return from their countries back into the job force here in the U.S.
Great. I think that's great. And I think we need to do that. The other thing, and I think it hits in Senator Warren's sweet spot, kids are coming out of college with $150,000 worth of debt. Has your senator ever talked about this?
She spoke yesterday
exactly.
at a constituent meet and greet that we have sometimes.
It's not what we did over there, it's what we became and came back to and what we're doing now for our own country.
From personal experience, I'm not in nonprofit, I'm not in international affairs, I'm in tech. I do marketing. Peace Corps has helped me to get jobs. It stands out on your resume, people ask about it, you got great stories to tell. Helps you get hired.
Yeah, and you served as essentially an ambassador for your country.
Exactly.
Abroad.
Exactly.
I'm going to quote you for saying that. I will tweet that in a few minutes.
There's a couple things that we do want to cover. One is funding, which I know the congressman, pretty clear stance on how he feels about funding. But funding is one of them. Another is the Peace Corps Caucus, which he's a member of, so a big thank you for that. And the third, there's actually a piece of legislation that's up on the floor right now, is this Respect for Peace Corps Act, which I think he's already supported, but it's basically allowing us to put the Peace Corps logo on gravestones for Peace Corps volunteers who are no longer with us.
Bill keeps on saying he's waiting for us to go in and have, not an adversarial, but where we have to convince somebody that this is good. And, although it's really, I mean, thank you, right? Yeah. And when he was the mayor of Somerville, he came over to a number of our events, and then he got elected, and he was our speaker for a number of years, and he's been just a great friend. And
I was working in environmental management. I got to do environmental clubs with these kids, and it really just changed my life, and it opened my eyes, and it made me really proud to be representing my country and to be able to show people what Americans look like. And as a woman, it was really cool to say, hey, like, women can do all these great things. Like, I can be a really great teacher, I can be this great leader to this community. I don't have to be a guy.
Right.
Because in Honduras, it's very, like, machismo, like, male-dominated, patriotic.
so I went in with my wife by coincidence, our 1-year wedding anniversary. We served in Jamaica. She was a medical social worker. I was the youth development officer. And I went in with all those questions, not other things. I went in on the first day. I'm in the Boys and Girls Club in Montego Bay, Jamaica. Pops and Mr. Earl, and I said, what's your strategic plan? What's your long-range vision? How many kids do you serve? What's the membership requirements? Who's on your board? Stupid questions, but traditional MBA questions. Pops, who was a 300-pound Jamaican, about 5'6", put his arm around me when I got to the budget. I said, what's your budget management philosophy? He said, when we have money, we spend it. If we don't have it, we don't spend it.
When I first moved to Boston, it was actually Somerville. And I was actually started off as a substitute teacher in the Somerville School District.
Excellent.
And once again, the kids relate to you better because you can talk about those things. And, you know, East Somerville is pretty much all Brazilian, huge Brazilian population, as you know. And my God, they are good to you.
And first I say, well, if you care about hunger and you want to defeat hunger, Jim McGovern is the guy who's done it. And then we see the picture of you being arrested in front of the student, and then so the Peace Corps caucus started with 5 returned Peace Corps volunteers. The 6th person, the first non-Peace Corps volunteer to join, is you. And yeah, exactly.
We're a mutual admiration society because of all the great stuff he does with United Way.
Yeah,
It's
well.
unbelievable. Yeah.
So I'm going to turn it over.
Yeah.
We should introduce ourselves. I'm very sorry.
I'm Vanessa Porter. I served in Honduras from 2008 to 2010, and I live in Brighton, Mass.
And my name is Bill Lewis. I served in Kenya from 74 through 76, and I was a computer scientist at Tufts University and MIT. And most recently, I was a member of Occupy Boston. So
That's great.
I've spent a lot of time in the streets and seeing things that I don't like to see, but really want to change.
I'm with you. And that's the case of most people that I have met who have been in the Peace Corps, that they want to change things. So that's, and
The really cool thing is, so we're wearing these Peace Corps buttons.
right.
We're going over to one of the Hart Office building. The guy behind us who's in as a lobbyist for forestry in Oregon. My niece is in the Peace Corps in Rwanda. We're standing somewhere else. Oh, my roommate. We're with someone else. Oh, and I forget what it was. But everybody has someone that they know, or they say, oh, I wish I had done that, or it's
They
great
did
that you
serve,
did
yeah.
that.
There was a couple of lobbyists that we saw that had all served in Peace Corps.
Yeah.
So how many people apply for the Peace Corps? And how many-
20,000.
And how many get it?
About 8,000.
How many?
8.
Yeah. So, I was in Colombia, and I went to, we were visiting the border of Colombia and Venezuela, where there's an oil company, and we're walking through the community, and for whatever reason, I just walked away from everybody, and no one even cared. And I look into this little, kind of very basic little house, and I see a picture of Hugo Chavez and Fidel Castro. Can you explain to me why you have these posters here? And she said, yeah, I have Chavez is up there because we needed a well. And we went to our government. The government said, no, you're too close to the border of Venezuela. You guys must be sympathetic to the guerrillas. We don't want to help support the guerrillas, so we're not going to help you out. I said, did you go to USAID? Yeah, we went to USAID. They said, yeah, you're too close to Venezuela. You must be sort of the guerrillas. Okay. So we sent a group to Caracas. And we met with some people, and we got the money, and the well is around the corner here. You have access to clean water, so that's why his picture's up there.
Yeah.
I said, well, why is Fidel Castro's picture up there? So the Cubans send doctors around the world. There's a new pharmacy, and so right across the border, there's a little clinic, and the Cubans doctors provide us care, and so that's why his picture's up there. Do you have?
What can I do for
I
you?
said, do you have a bathroom? I want to see where the George Bush's pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People like us, and it's kind of, I have this radical idea that if people like us, they won't want to blow us up. But that's me.
Right. And I got to know one of the charge d'affaires, the political officer, and he was a good guy. And I said, have you ever been on a bus, a country bus? He said, no. He said, I don't think they'd be safe. And I said, well, let me tell you about the trip my wife and I took from Montego Bay to get to Kingston. We get on a country bus, and a bus holds 65 people. And I'm sure this is the same, but they don't fit 65, as you probably know also. It's, in Jamaica, the term is skinny up, and it's, 6 people. And I said, and then a woman got on, and she took her goat, and she said, will you hold this? And I said, so I came here holding this woman's goat. Was it unsafe? I was afraid the goat might go to the bathroom on me, but that woman thinks, this is a nice guy, he held my goat.
One of the things that I like to point out is that I think it's very important that we talk to people who aren't us.
Right.
And so I recently registered as Republican because they invite me to things. So I was at Hill Air Force Base. And I was talking about these issues. And all of these Air Force officers watching me, I was with Vita Urban in front of a house, blocking a foreclosure. And these Air Force officers saying, yeah, we agree with you. This isn't the country we want.
Right.
And
Well,
I feel it's really
I think
important.
you raise a good point, is that, one of the things that kind of we've ceased to do in this country is talk to one another. And that it has become very, very unfashionable in Washington to talk about poor people. Say they're lazy, say that's what we want to be, on the whole thing. And now, it's become a little less fashionable to do that. And that's a good thing. We had a congressman from Texas who debated food stamp cuts was saying, all we're trying to do is prevent rapists, pedophiles, and murderers from getting food stamps.
139 countries in our 53-year history. 3 goals: transfer skills and knowledge, be ambassadors for the United States, and then bring the world home. I was a youth development officer. I worked at the Boys and Girls Club, and we started a school for kids who didn't go to school, who were street kids.
Okay.
My wife was a social worker. She worked at a big, imagine that if there were one hospital in all of Pennsylvania. She worked at a big regional hospital, and she started a child abuse clinic. I loved it. We built a basketball court, we built a library. I would have stayed there all my life. She was trying to make sure that kids didn't get STDs under the age of 5. So we moved to Beirut, Lebanon. Beirut in the 1960s was great. Nobody thinks Beirut was great. It was phenomenal. We lived in a building next to the American University of Beirut. The American Community School was behind us. There were 50,000 Americans in Beirut. You could go to the beach in the morning and then drive into the mountains. But to get to the airport, you drove along the coastal road and you went through 2 Palestinian refugee camps. I was 6 years, 7 years, and 8 years old. I would slink down, I would cover my eyes, I would hold my nose, because the degradation of humanity was so real. I'm now 55, and when I look back, to me, there's no question that if, not America, but if people had seen Palestinian refugees as people, that perhaps some of the issues of the Middle East would not be as they are.
So, I mean, I was on the border with Somalia. I was in Kenya. And at one point, because I like to run, like Vanessa, I was out running. Turned out I was across the border, and I was picked up. And immediately, everybody in the Somali side, no, we don't want this. We do not want the American arrested. He's a teacher in the other side, because their own kids sometimes come to our schools. I was out of there so fast, I was dizzy. People, when they see people, are really good with them. When they see people as far away and incomprehensible and evil, that's when of course, they hate us or hate.
St. Louis is farther away from where we were living in Jamaica.
No kidding.
Yeah. And I wanted, I probably wanted the experience Bill had.
I was in northern Kenya, exactly on the border with Somalia, Ethiopia, and Kenya. So
No kidding.
I was, to the best of my knowledge, I was the only non-African for 200 miles in any direction.
Wow. I said, how do you get to Mogadishu? And he said, they all chew this cot, is what he called it.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to chew this within 6 or 8 hours of it being cut, or else it wilts. So twice a day, they fly planes in and out.
Wow.
And he would just hop on a plane and would just be sitting on these bales of cot. And he would have someone waiting there to pick him up, and they would change his location every 3 hours until the next day when he flew back out. But
I was at Tufts. I taught at Tufts University. Then
that's where my dad went to college.
What?
My dad went to Tufts.
Oh,
That's where he
Jumbo.
met my mother.
Cool.
Good. We like that kind of
That is just a wonderful school. I just loved teaching there. But I worked at MIT with Eric Lander, who was the principal on the Human Genome Project. And so he's going to go to Stockholm. He's going to get a Nobel Prize. And one atom of that Nobel Prize is going to be for my work.
Very nice.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening!
A little bit of your time. I'd like to start by thanking those of you citizen advocates who've been up on the Hill today meeting with your members of Congress. We had a great turnout. We had over 100 citizen advocates on the Hill this morning. We heard from all 5 RPCV members of Congress, and then they heard from us, and all around the Capitol Hill they were hearing from Peace Corps return volunteers telling them about the dividends of the Peace Corps. We were missing Senator Wolford. Glad you could be with us this evening. We had to use... And I'd especially like to recognize Jonathan Pearson.
And if you heard Joe Kennedy this morning speaking about opening the eyes of fellow members of Congress when they travel overseas. That's part of what we do when we're here. And so I just want to express my gratitude as well to everyone who's here, and I look forward to a great weekend. Thank you.